Today I want to challenge you a little bit. You can see from the title, it's called The Great Deception of Peace, Joy, and a Perfect Life. So if that's something that you actually want to open your mind to, I'm going to invite you to take a minute to take a deep breath and meet me on the other side. If you're just listening to make me wrong, I'm going to save you the trouble and say goodbye now. With that deep breath, and we'll see you in just a moment. So one of the things I've experienced and noticed on YouTube or doing social media is that a lot of people just listen so that they can feel right about what they actually want to believe is true. Very few people step back and listen to hear what's actually being said. And if you look at the title, The Great Deception of Peace, Joy, and a Perfect Life, that just sets you up to have conflict, because who in this world doesn't want peace, joy, and a perfect life? And well, why would that be deceptive? And I just wanted to share this as an idea, something to consider, because one of the things I'm noticing is that in the same way we use fear, urgency, uncertainty, rage, anger, all the negative emotions to motivate us towards what we don't want, we're having people use the positive emotions, like the carrot at the end of the stick, right? Peace, joy, love, a perfect life, a romantic relationship, everything's perfect. That somehow is the desired state of being in this world, that we came into this world to create heaven on earth, and if we could just solve all the problems, then everything would be okay. In the same way, if we could just conquer everything that's bad, everything would be okay. And I think it takes a pretty advanced state of maturity to finally get to that point to understand that both extremes are not realistic. We will never in this human world on earth solve every single problem, even if logic makes it seem simple and obvious, and then everybody's going to be happy. What history has shown us, there will always be a reason to hate, to attack, to defend, to conquer, even in our most peaceful state. Because we can look at civilizations, like the Buddhists who have the Chinese invade them. They are the seven. If you have never watched that movie, 7 Years in Tibet, there's this scene where Tibet is being invaded, and they have like 50 guns in the entire nation. That their state of calm, perfect, peaceful joy and happiness did not guarantee them a safe life. And so here's the idea I want to introduce to you. So instead of looking at peace and joy as the goal to reach for, maybe the purpose of peace and joy is the measure by how we're doing the work within ourselves and its result. And I say that because it's been my personal experience, both with myself and working with others as a social worker and a therapist, that nothing really changes if you just listen and live to support your existing belief system, like I talked about at the beginning of this video. The only real change that comes about is when you're willing to look at what I say you don't want to know about yourself. And that usually elicits a lot of fear, a lot of anger, a lot of upset, guilt, remorse, a lot of negative emotion. And we've created the system in our world right now where we medicate you if you have a negative emotion. Oh, you cried, let me put you on some drugs. But we're chasing this ideal of enlightenment, peace, joy, and the perfect life. And, well, I know a lot of people who have the perfect life on the surface. I couldn't even name on one hand the number of people that I've seen or met that are truly peaceful and joyful. They may have the stuff, but they don't have the internal energy system that goes with that. And if they do, there's a lot of BS that goes with that. And the flip side to that is a lot of people have put themselves in searching for peace, joy, and a perfect life in kind of a isolated sanctuary, and then, look at how good I've done, let me be your guru. And that never has worked for me. And one of the things I've come to understand about myself is that my sense of accomplishment and satisfaction in this life is when I can survive in the trenches, not be famous standing center stage. And that makes it extremely difficult as we've created this world that says you're not successful unless you have peace, joy, and a perfect life. I don't know anybody that has that. I know people who have the illusion of it, and some people do, but it's the exception more than the rule. And that what I've come to understand, just as something to think about, is that I can tell how well I've done with an idea, with the internal work, with the changing in my thinking. When the peace and joy come from within, then I know I've probably cleaned out the next level of mess. But it's also something I've come to understand that will probably never end in my lifetime. And so when we have that carrot dangled in front of us, the perfect life, we're spending a lifetime chasing something out in the world that we think is going to make us happy and give us that peace and joy. The idea I want to give over to you is, what can you do within yourself to clean out the rage, the anger, the fury, all those things which are deeply buried and covertly hiding. And then when you're successful with that part, the peace and joy will come back. But it's a process. It's peeling away the layers. And nobody ever tells you that. We talk about this idea of enlightenment as sort of an existing state once you have this big aha. And we have a whole industry around that. And I think it's a lot of BS, personally. But I don't, everybody's got their own path, and that's part of the process, is chasing the perfect life with enlightenment principles, New Age principles, magic, all these things that we tell ourselves will give us the perfect life. I think that's the grand illusion. That's the big dream. And the real work is why I call making the decision to stay human. It's really about developing the skill set that gets us through the rage, the fury, the loss, the hate, the grief, the suffering, all those negative things that we spend our life running from. If we stop running, we do the work, we clean out those dark corners by looking in the mirror and being honest with ourselves about what we don't want to know. Nobody really wants to do that. But when you do, all of a sudden, more peace and joy come in. You may not have a perfect life. We all have a different journey that we're here to take in this lifetime. But I just want to be here to support you in achieving what your purpose in this life is for. And part of that is being really honest in that I think it's a great deception to be chasing peace, joy, and a perfect life, and not being willing to be honest about the rage, the anger, the fury, all those things within us that are really blocking it from happening. If we were perfect, whole, and complete when we came into this world, I don't really know what the point would be. That's just my personal opinion. It's, just something to think about. But I wanted to bring that up because I think it's important for those of you who do want to hear, when you listen, more than just supporting what your existing belief system is. This is for you. So we're just going to take a deep breath, lots of links below, and I will see you next time.
And I've been putting on